Hi. Thank you. Thank you. How's everybody doing? Excellent. Okay, so I decided not to wear a tie for this take. Why? Because it's the holidays. Let's relax, let loose a little bit. Most of everybody's going on vacations, gonna have a great Thanksgiving. By the way, check out the cooking show I do with the Edible Arrangements owner, because healthy eating over there. So anyway, I hope everybody's geared up for a wonderful holiday. I'm very excited about it, spend time with my family as well. And that's where I want to get into what has happened this past week. It is one of the most interesting weeks I've seen so far since I've started this, even though I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks. Still very interesting because I want to talk about Morgan Geyser. Now, I know a lot has been going on in the news with that, but it's interesting because it deals with local, state, and national politics. Local, Morgan Geyser from Waukesha. The crime that was originally committed was in Waukesha. State, she was moved to Madison into this group home. National, she was found in a different state. And it's been well known to be reported on various news sources nationwide. All of them, okay? So, with that being said, let's talk about this. Now, I want to talk about it from a different perspective. You're going to see my face a little confused here because the perspective that I'm going to take is not one I've read about yet so far. And based on that, I forgot my boilerplate. All opinions and content are based on Rico Camacho. I don't know why I changed my voice like that, but heck, why not? So, with that being said, got that out of the way. I want to talk about how not necessarily Morgan herself, or the person she was with. I want to talk about the judge that initially released her. That's what I want to talk about. Find it interesting. I find it interesting because after doing some background research, the judge's name is Michael Bowen. Okay, Judge Michael Bowen. And he has two court cases that I was looking up and I found very interesting. The first one was that, and I'm gonna let you guys, as the audience here, take a look, kind of eat this in and consume this information. He sided with a right-wing law firm, and I'm reading real quick, I wanna make sure I get this right, because again, don't wanna have to make another public apology, even though I'm getting really good at them. You should check out CBS 58 Telemundo. I do it even in Spanish. Not promising it's good, but still do. But anyway, Judge Michael Bowen sided with the right-wing law firm called the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, which, in this case, he ended the use of drop boxes in Wisconsin elections. Okay, very interesting. Again, I'll let you guys mull that over about why he sided with the Republicans, because that's not necessarily the point. I don't want to dive into that issue. But in 2022, again, he sided with the Republicans again, something a little bit more dealing with today's issues. He ruled that he was going to put on hold so the DNR could go through appeals to establish guidelines for dealing with PFAS. Now, PFAS is a group of toxins that get released into water and in the environment in general, okay? The reason that deals with today's issues, especially state issues, is because data centers are working on coming into Wisconsin, okay? So these data centers have PFAS in them because when the cooling system occurs within these data centers, they create these group of toxins that are very bad for the environment. And that's also interesting because Waukesha itself just changed its water to Lake Michigan not too long ago because we saw toxins in 2015. So we have this grouping of issues, again, local, state, and national, within one issue. So we have this judge that has ruled on different things, okay? And sided with the Republican Party twice. Let's talk about what that has to do with Morgan Geyser. What that has to do with Morgan Geyser is he was the one who initially granted her release. And I find that fascinating. So you have a Republican judge, hear me out on this. You have a Republican judge who, in general, the Republican Party loves to criticize the Democrats for being soft on crime. And now he's granting a release to a woman who stabbed somebody 19 times based on a fictional character she saw on the computer. Okay? I don't know what to say other than the hypocrisy of it is appalling. And if you're going to blame people for things, and that's what I find is one of the worst things you can do is blame people for your problems. And that's what the Republicans have been doing. And you're blaming Democrats for something you yourself are doing. I don't know what to say to that. And trust me, I generally know what to say to everything, if you know me pretty well. So, you know, as we look at this as even though a judge is supposed to be nonpartisan, I've found that that does not necessarily happen on a regular basis, as proven by 2 court cases that this judge actually ruled on and then doing something completely against what his party says they should be doing. And, you know, so we have these state, local, and national politics based on this one story of Morgan Geyser. I know everybody's worried about the timeline, and I agree with everything you guys are saying. And now we're going to wait and see what happens from a legal perspective. I just want everyone to understand that when we dive deeper into certain things, we need to understand as a society that we all end up being hypocritical sometimes. Not we all, but the Republicans in general. So I want to let you guys know that that is actually putting a little plug in for me, why I am running for state assembly, because I know that the Democrats have backed down to things. One thing I don't do based on my situation, and I know it's an old situation at this point, but I still was on CBS Telemundo yesterday. I don't like to give up a fight when it's for the right thing to do. And because of that, I want to make sure that when we get to these state levels, you see somebody who's actually fighting for you, for actually fighting for democracy and the way that Democrats should be standing up to these hypocritical Republicans. So put that plug in for myself. But again, this right now is about how the judge, in a different perspective, when we're looking at the Morgan Geyser case, yes, it encompasses a lot of items, but the focus is that we need to actually hold accountable the people that say they're going to hold people accountable. Keep that in mind as we continue moving forward with all the elections coming up in April, next August, next November, all of it. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Signing off.